Call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we will start with public comment. Montana law requires school districts and other public agencies to include on the agenda for public meetings an item allowing public comment on any public matter not otherwise specifically listed on the agenda. If you have any public comment for items not listed on this agenda, please fill out the card in the back of the room and hand it to Julie or Superintendent Torres. Is there anyone with public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to the swearing in of new student board members. So if you guys would get up, and is Julie doing it?
Yeah.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys want to go over there, right?
Sorry.
Well, I just do it like right here, just do a little dance. Wait. You gotta keep the people online entertained.
Yeah, we choreographed.
Okay.
Well, I did work today, so.
Are you getting it, or do you want to?
What's that?
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. I don't even have a Bible. Just hold your right hand up and say, I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States
protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of my office with fidelity.
the duties of my office with fidelity.
Very good. And I will have some papers for you to sign later, okay? All right, thanks.
Thank you. And welcome. Okay, we will start with correspondence. We have one for this meeting. It's Agape Counseling with a donation to something Science Inquiry Club. So thank you for your donation. Now we will move on to presentations. First is the owner's rep report.
You did go to last month's
Yeah.
meeting, so he will not be here then.
Do you have anything that to be mentioned?
No, we will be, well, a little bit. We will be coming to the board. Amy will be presenting the south plans in November, and I think December meeting, or maybe the first one in January, they'll be presenting the Graff Fields plan for this area that we're sitting in now, what the plans are for that. So they're putting that all together, and that has to go before the board so you guys can take a peek at it. And they'll be presenting that over the next month.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments about that?
We want to do, this is sort of in this topic, is it time for another tour for the board?
If you guys should want a tour and you want to do it as individuals or just small groups, and you want to come over, I'll be more than happy to walk you through either building. If you would like to do it as a whole board, we just need to set a date. Talk to Renee and Brittany and set a date, and yeah, we can take you through as a whole board. There's quite a bit of updates, especially over at West.
Yeah.
Inside, windows should arrive this week. And you'll start to see windows over the coming 3 or 4 weeks. You'll start to see windows going in. There's a lot of glass coming. There's a lot. Those windows are big.
Yeah.
So you should start to see that stuff. So if you guys want to, Yeah, so as a board or,
Is anyone else
As an individual.
interested in, yeah, okay, so we'll get something set up.
Yep.
Okay,
if we go after school one day or something, we could grab, the boys and Jay and they can be a part of that.
okay, sounds good. Okay. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we will move on. The next item is Laurel Golf Team, but they weren't able to make it tonight. They are going to, next meeting or one of the meetings in
They'll be
November.
at the first November meeting.
Okay. So moving on, we will do our graph tour now. So if you'd like to join us, you're more than welcome to come along. Otherwise, we'll be back. Can we just have everybody be quiet until we leave out of here, just so we can hear?
As everybody knows, or may not know, this floor was caving in. And all the structure and everything in place, I called on this thing this morning, which cleaned through the whole thing, it looks great, it's all in place well. There's still some other areas that aren't quite as good, but they're gonna last for 30 years or more. Nothing catastrophic, just minor.
Can you tell me a little bit about the council reception that is almost trying to find one tool like emails? I know they're going to ask.
any questions that we didn't ask or about the tour? Any public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion.
I'd motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. I have a motion from Chris and a second by Jenny. Is there any discussion from the board? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. We have a motion to approve by Chris, a second by Jenny. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. None, the motion carries. Now we'll move on to action item. We will, we'll do A, unless someone wants to pull anything out, we will approve them as a group.
Reminder that 3226, number 4 there, though that's the one with bullying, and you guys wanted me to make a couple edits. So I did some wording on that, so please make sure you take a look at that and make sure that's what you want.
So this is where we had the discussion about district administrator and defining district administrator. So we did that above, or in number 6 in the definitions. It included the superintendent in that, and then below where it complains against a district administrator included excluding the superintendent, because the following line discusses that, and that is in line with our 1700 policy for complaints. So, is there any discussion on that? Okay. So, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the second reading of the 6 listed policies.
Second.
I have a motion by Jenny, a second by Chris. Is there any other discussion from the board? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. We have a motion by Jenny, a second by Chris to approve the policies listed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to B, high school proposed library materials. Make a motion.
Can I discuss with it?
Okay, so we'll go ahead and discuss.
I took a look and I just had one book that I was concerned about. It's called The Wilderness of Girls by Madeline Claire Franklin. And the author's own website has a content warning. It said this book portrays, describes, or discusses in detail complex PTSD, suicide and suicidal ideation, disordered eating, body shaming, family and domestic violence, emotional abuse, cannibalism, and sexual assault. So I think that violates our 2310P1 policy. So,
It's on the first page. Madeline Claire Franklin is the author.
yeah. So I think everything else is good. But
Anybody else have any comments? Concerns with other books?
Make sure the motion really excludes that book, if that's your guys' choice.
okay, then I will make the motion to approve the book list with the exclusion of The Wilderness of Girls by Madeline Claire Franklin.
Second.
Is there any other comment or discussion from the board? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. We have a motion by Jenny to approve the high school library book order with the exception of Wilderness for Girls. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the motion carries. Move to C, graph proposed library materials. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the draft library material list.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. We have a motion to approve by Jenny, a second by Chris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We'll move along to D, the intermediate book vending machine proposed book order.
I move to approve the intermediate book vending machine book order. Second.
Do we have any discussion? I just have one thing, because there are packs of books on here, so we need a list of every book that's in each of those. So I don't know if we want, because that is, our policy is that we have to have each book. And if you went to the links, you could click down and see which ones are in those packs, but we don't have an actual list of the books that, so I don't know, that's my only concern. I guess I didn't see any of the packs, and I went in and looked at all the books that are included in those packs, and I don't see any issues with them. But I think we need to have the list of actual books, because even if they're purchased in packs, we don't really care about that. We need to know the books and the authors to buy. If they come in a pack, great. If they don't, and in the future, if they need to be bought separately, then they can be bought that way. That's my only concern with this list. So I don't know how everybody else feels about that. If we want it to come back as an actual list of every book, or if we want to have it come back as like an informational piece. But then I would argue that that doesn't really follow policy.
I feel like if they're posting the links though, I mean, that's almost easier than.
Yes, but the links are going to be active forever, so if somebody wants to go back to our minutes to find out what books we've approved, there's no way to do that once that link expires.
What we found out, and you guys will see this on the informational books, and this is something I didn't know, but when a book bundle sells out, the link becomes inactive. It takes you to the website, but it just takes you to can't find this thing you're looking for, part of the website. So, and obviously, never even thought about that, because I just assumed you could buy the bundles, but sometimes the bundles sell out, and they're kind of come in and out of existence. And so, those links do become bad. If you go to the down below in the informational, all the links worked a couple weeks ago when we put it on there, but as we started checking links and Renee caught it over the weekend, I'm like, well, the links did work. Let me go look, and then they weren't working, and that's why. Because a lot of those bundles are no longer available. So I would agree with Renee in this respect. They should all be listed, and then however the librarians buy them, bundled or not bundled, that's up to the librarians. They don't, but if there's a bundle with 10 books in it, they should be listed out. And then if they buy them in that bundle, awesome, okay, that's perfect. But the links cause us problems. Then they don't even have to link them, they can just put they don't have to worry about the link. So that's what I would suggest in the future. And that's my fault, I didn't know that's the way it worked, and I guess it does work.
That's a fair point, because it's for posterity's sake, if you will, right? If someone wanted to come back and cross-check this, a citizen.
The links may not work because the book bundles no longer exist in that form.
I think it's honest on us to look them up, I think is fair, but to the point of, I agree with this to the point that for the general public, it should be available as a
Well, and then because this isn't it for the intermediate, so this is the book vending machine that's gonna go in at the new school.
Correct.
We probably have time if we want to get that list back, and approve it at the next meeting. I think we have time to do this.
So we do have a motion and a second, it has to be voted down. Right.
Yeah.
To be clear, everyone who felt like they wanted to look through the links though was able to, as a board body, has seen them. So would we propose that maybe it come back as an informational, because the board as a body is comfortable, and
You
then
can come back as an
for
action,
documentation purposes, we could have,
you can come back as an action item with the list of these, put in a list form.
the one thing I worry about is bundles are selling out, and that's a way for saving the district some
I
money.
went and looked, only one of all of them on that intermediate, or on the,
But now we're like,
later, I think out of all those bundles, only one of them was still available. So we're gonna have to do it that way no matter what.
okay,
I've been told by a librarian that they still sell out in days.
really?
You might save us 25–30% if you buy them in a bundle, but they literally will sell out in days because it's cheap.
I vote we do it right. And just bring it back to an action item, individually listed.
Any other discussion? Is there any public comment?
Books sometimes have similar titles, so it might be smart to also have the ISBN with them, so you can just Google the ISBN and find the book.
We usually want the author with them. Big an author is all I've asked for.
So hearing no public comment, we will go ahead and vote on the first motion that's on the motion that's on the table. We have a motion to approve by Jenny, a second by Kayla. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
Okay.
Nay. Motion fails. Is there another motion?
A motion to table the action item D until the next board meeting when it can have the full list.
I'll second. So we have a motion by Chris, a second by me to table. Is there any discussion on that motion? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Move to E, adult education, ELDT trainer's wage. Do you have a motion? Or do we want discussion first?
Can you just give us some background, Sarah?
So, yeah, entry-level driver's training and what this is, and so we're taking anyone that's getting a CDL. So they're coming on as a bus driver, have to have a CDL. They have to now go through FMCSA requirements, which is 93 points of theory, plus range, plus road. And so there's a lot of experience that these drivers have to have. We have one driver right now that's our trainer that comes in and that does it. He has a lot of responsibilities while doing it, a lot of background in having that particular one. And so when we had our meeting, we felt that they are about the same level as the driver's education trainers. So the only thing they don't have is they don't have chicken breaks on the buses, so we can't stop them when they're going. But this is a training that is very important for us to have to keep drivers going in our area as well. So this is all through community education. So we do quite a few trainings for this throughout the year. We train everyone from Ennis. We're down in Bighorn counties coming, and Wyoming's coming up to us for training. So we're one of the few training sites in the area. So we charge $50 an hour per student. So if we have, 4 students in there, we're getting $200 an hour to teach that. And I think, Julie and I spoke about it, that the monies are into adult education for this particular class as well. Plus, anybody that's been trained, if you look at some of the past history that's going on, you'll see where some of these drivers If there's anything that happens and he signs off on it, that's he's also personally saying these drivers are safe and ready to go.
Much like our driver's ed, there's no burden on the general fund, it's all comes on monies that are kind of coming in and out constantly through that program. So it would not be a drain on the general fund.
Is there a cap on the $50?
I don't understand. What is cap on how much we charge?
Yeah.
No, it's whatever hours we're spending with them. So some drivers will go through quickly if they currently have a CDL. Still required if they're adding any additional endorsements on there, such as a school bus endorsement or a passenger or air brake. They have to start all over as level 1 again, according to the federal government and stuff. So some of them are quicker to get through and some are longer. So it just depends however long it takes that particular student to get through.
And so we were already charging them 50, now we're moving the driver, the educator to 30. Where were they at before, 22?
22, yeah.
And we were already at 50, so we're slimming up our margin by $8. Does it make sense to pass that along to the people that we're training?
I think that we have made so much money off of it, and that, I mean, we're making hand over fist money on that particular one. Because we usually have 2 or 3 people in a class at one time, so we're getting $150 an hour for that class, and we're only spending $30 an hour. So
Okay.
the rest of it is paid well. Julie has all the.
It comes out of the adult ed fund, and the adult ed fund is a levy fund, you know, that we levy for, but we have not levied for the last couple of 2 to 3 years, just because it does so well with this training that Zeta takes on, you know, and we don't have other people.
Help subsidize everything. Right?
Just wouldn't want to erode it is all, you know, because you can easily erode your margin by being, oh, well, we're making hand over fist until we're not. So
Right.
just to keep that in mind, if we're going to do this, then we want to make sure that we're not eroding that fund so we don't have to levy it.
Do we know what other places that are offering this are charging?
The only other place in this area is doing it is Sage right now, and they're offering that, and they're over $5,000 for them to come through, but they're totally different than they are. Most other places don't offer it to just anybody out there through their adult education program. We're the only ones in the area that's doing that. MAPT and Montana Drive do offer 2 weeks out of the summer where they'll take in drivers from all over to do it, and then they're there, and that's about $3,200 is what it was this last summer for them to be there for 2 weeks and then get their license that way. But no one else that I know of
Does it this way?
Right, and it's really good. What my whole thought behind this is because of the experience this driver has to have, and he has all that. We have to have a trainer that has all the experiences and able to teach all of the different areas in that. So that's why we do that.
Any other comments or questions? Do we have a motion?
I move to increase the adult education ELTD instructor's wage to $30.
We have a motion to approve by Jenny, a second by Chris. Is there any other discussion or questions? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Move along to F, TR1, registration of school bus and state reimbursement. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the TR1s for the approved bus routes for the 24-25 school year.
Second. Is there any discussion or questions? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. We have a motion to approve by Chris, a second by Kayla. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next item is G, the Laurel Strategic Plan.
you guys remember, we did some revisions on it in June. So that revised, marked up, got real confusing. So I went ahead and made a finalized copy of it, which we can edit here if we want to. But it has all the edits that we made in June in a nice, clean format, so you can see what changes were made. Because it got pretty complex there. But we went ahead and included them both, so you can see the changes in the revision version of it. There's a clean copy finally. We do need to have these updated, and I just never brought it back to you guys, so.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and discuss it first before we take a motion in case we have changes.
These are just the changes that we had in our June meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
I went through. If you look at the June version of it, that if you go back in time there, you can start looking at the all the respective changes that were being made. All I did was go through and just clean it up, and so it's a little visual, you can see the changes as well.
How often do we revise the strategic plan as a board? In my 3 years, this is the first time we
Do it at least every, I would suggest 3 to 5 years. You can look at it every year, that's not nothing wrong with that. You can change it every year if you need to.
Sure.
But it just gives kind of that overall, overarching direction of the district. Then we have kind of working documents that are more building level and district level working documents. If you guys ever want to see those, we have those as well. Those are more things that the administration driven and staff driven.
I guess I wondered, why didn't we do this right after June? Why did we wait till now to do this? Because now I'm like trying to remember, and I feel like we got through that training, but I felt like we were supposed to go back and do some more stuff to it. And so I kind of feel like now we're like in this like, oh, approve it, when we weren't, that wasn't really, I thought we were gonna go back to it, and that's on me too, that we didn't bring that up as some, but I'm wondering why now all of a sudden, do we have to have this approved tonight to meet some standard or some?
No. You guys
Seems like this, I just feel like maybe we need to have another work session to go through this
I
because.
think it was part of the charter, right? Didn't you want to sort of have a.
No, we didn't link our opening to the charter, that's not. So what was, how this relates to the charter application is, there's a few comments if you go in there just about innovative type, opportunities for kids and things like that. That didn't really change, so that's not a huge deal. But, yeah, it will be linked in there, but again, that's fine, it waits, it doesn't hurt anything, or all one has that in too, something like that.
I feel like I walked out of that meeting too, feeling a little unfinished with it. So if we can even have one more work session, maybe before we approve it, it might be, I might feel more comfortable with it. Like this looks good, but I just feel like we didn't get through everything, you know?
We were gonna have another work session. I mean, I think he was impressed with how far we got, but I felt like it wasn't like tied up.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of thought about it and.
Maybe instead of a final, it's just a continuance. It's a cleaner rough draft.
It's never done, right? I mean, if you've ever done strategic planning for a company too, like, it's never done. And we're doing it this week for our company right now, so we do that every year, so.
And that's why I asked how often we revisit, so if we can do it on the calendar once a year, because then we would have familiarity with the document and discussions, but we can also incorporate new board members or.
So maybe.
I mean, most strat plans I've ever been a part of are probably like 3 to 5 years in vision, but annually renewal, we can always add a year to the vision, right? So to me, it makes sense to do it annually.
So maybe June would be the best time, just because new board members will be coming on.
Yeah.
And it won't be their first meeting or anything, but a month into resolve. Still be a little overwhelming, but I think June might be the best fit.
Yeah, one of those months.
That's a good orientation, honestly.
Yeah.
Orient them to that. So I do think it's a nice place to place it.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand up. Do I stand up here?
Devin, where should they stand?
Everywhere's fine, it's good.
Okay, so I just want to ask you guys just to be thinking of something else is maybe you do every year. I used to do it every year, our strategic plan every year. It was right before the new board came on, because then that way, because the new board that's coming on is not going to know last year's strategic plan or the last 3 years strategic plan. So those of you that have been here for 3 years, that you're able to, you know the direction the school's going, you understand what the district leadership team is, you understand what the school leadership team is, and so then you guys can then come up with what your goals are for the next year, the next 5 years, going forward, moving into the direction that you guys have decided in. And then when the new board comes on, they may have, so as all you guys are new board members, when you first come on, you're not really understanding the whole board, how the board works. You're not, we may get on, we may have what we want, right away what we want to do, not understanding that there was a direction the school as a whole was heading into. And so doing that in the end of April to May, then when the new board comes on, then that gives them the year to acclimate themselves, they know the direction the school's going into, and then the following year, then they're involved in that strategic plan of the direction the school's going into. I thought that was a good way, and the board members that just came on, that helped them know the direction the school was going into. And then they got used to how the board works and the direction the school's going into. I think if you do it the other way, you're going to be, depending on how many board members, you're going to have 2 that get elected, you're going to have 2 that might want to go this way, and then it just starts weaving. But you guys have a good relationship with one another. You guys have been talking twice a month at least during the board meetings, and know the direction the school's going into, the direction you guys wanted to go into. And so then it just can work a little bit better.
That's a really good way of looking at it, Justin. That's a really good way of looking at it.
It could avoid some, and I don't mean this word in a bad way, but some board activism. It could avoid, it's great when we're all rowing in the same direction, like we do often, but this board has not had that in the past. It probably won't always be this harmonious, although lovely if it was. It could avoid some of that sort of out the gate fire and activism that can happen with a new board member too. So I do think that's also a good point. It helps slow the roll a little.
April's not bad, maybe the first meeting of April.
Yeah. Or it's its own work session. I know
Or
it's
its own
another
work
meeting,
session, sure.
Yeah, I like that.
I think having just gone through it too, I think it would be nice to be, oh, here's the strategic plan, like you're handed a strategic plan, and then you kind of, oh, okay, this is how I'm setting myself up
Yeah.
to join this board. I think that I like that idea.
The only counterpunch I have to it is if you've got people who want to throw a grenade in the room before they leave the board too. I don't know that would happen, but you also have some potentially disinterested people setting that direction too. So it could be, there's pluses and minuses to both, is all I'm trying to drive at. I probably supported being before, but
Well, and
there
there's
is a
nothing
counter.
to say that if a new board comes on and the majority of the board feels like you need to change your strategic plan 2 months later, you change that's up to the board's prerogative to do that. It doesn't say you can't revisit it. You're not really preventing anything, but I think that coming on the board can be a little overwhelming as far as information overload as it is, and it may be easier to do that at the end, as long as, the only problem with the April-May timeline that I can see is it's busy then, And so then are we all gonna be able to, I mean, is the board gonna be around the table? Because that's probably the time of year where we have people miss meetings. And so is that gonna make it more difficult than summer when things are slower and we can take our time? You know, meetings are shorter, so we could be there an hour longer to do that. That would be my only concern is the timing of it when we're already at the end of school year. There's a lot of decisions that have to be made to prepare for the next year, and summer is slower. But and I guess we can wait and make that decision once we get this all hammered out and,
We'll go ahead and organize a work session. I'll talk with, Brittany and Renee on Wednesday, and we'll pick a date for a work session.
I'd say the only hard thing is we're going into busy time now, right? And so it'd be hard to do this before the end of the year. So if we're gonna do it before if we're not gonna do it before the end of the year, then should we just sandbag this whole thing until next year? Which I would rather just sort of approve this as a living document, and then we move on and plan our strat meeting for the end of April, say. And then, you know, that gives us time, we can look over this and say, okay, here's what I really like about this plan, I can change it. You know, now we have it and it's sort of in our consciousness. It may be a better time now to just approve it in the state that it's in, and then move forward to a new strategic planning session that's now scheduled at the end of April. Which is right before all chaos breaks loose. I think it must be before May, at a minimum, or after May.
not May.
Yeah, not May.
Negotiations start in March.
What did she ask?
Negotiations start in March.
No, they can start earlier, but it is a legislative session here, so I imagine they usually go a little bit later. You have to wait until, unless they pass all the school funding stuff early. And it wouldn't surprise me if they did in this session. It'll be this 27 session that may be a huge, they can try to undertake school funding in the 27 session, so that could be a huge issue. We might be in pretty good shape early in this one.
I don't know, I think we did a lot of our work here. I just think that we would need like a pretty short work session, so I don't think that, I don't know. It would be my opinion to have a work session, get it right, approve it, then it should be fairly easy if we decide to do it in April. To look at it on an annual basis, and there shouldn't be a lot to it come this next April. And then we'd be set up to start on a yearly. But we can take a motion if we're done discussing.
I'd motion to approve the strategic plan as outlined with plans for a revision or revisit no later than the second quarter of 2025.
I second. Is there any other questions, discussion from the board? Any public comment? What?
Matt, will this show the current date then on it, on our website?
Yeah, it would be revised on October 28th.
Okay.
As it's accepted by the board. And I do have that on the front page already of that second copy.
Is there any other questions, discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, we have a motion by Chris and a second by Jenny to approve the current revisions and revisit this no later than the second quarter of 2025. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. The next agenda item is the student board report. And I believe Janina sent us,
Yeah, it's linked on the student board representatives report.
wasn't over there.
I was good with that.
I'll prepare it.
Oh, nice.
Awesome, so go ahead.
You'll have to click it, but,
Oh,
like, it's a touch screen, so you'll have to.
We'll just like.
okay, we just made a little presentation and then after I'll tell you about some other things we've been working on. But first, we're talking about recent events and first was Spirit Week. And so the big one and two was the beach day and teacher students walk day, which was really fun. We had like a lot of kids pulling up with like coconuts and grass skirts. And so here's a picture from the beach day. Mr. Pierce is our biology and human anatomy teacher. And then this is a new teacher and he was looking pretty good when that started.
I think that's the first time that's ever been mentioned in the same sentence together.
Wow.
Hip and Star Wars.
Wow.
I'm a Star Wars fan, so.
Okay, and then day three was the PJ Day and Senior Token Day. All of these pictures actually came from, there's a student council Instagram, and so I kind of just screenshotted. But we have some cows, and Gilbert and Daphne Davidson with their totals. Spirit Week, day 4 was group day. We have some teachers dressed in our best superheroes. And then this was actually one of the best ones I've seen. Pretty accurate, it's like Scooby-Doo with some senior girls. That's good. And then day 5 was just purple and gold. At the beginning, there's some pictures in the gray, there's Dan. And this is a soccer picture. It was like a really nice break. They really did try hard. And then football, everyone was having fun.
Okay, and I'll be talking about fall formal. This year, during October, our city council planned and hosted the fall formal, which was at the theme of autumn extravaganza, and it was also a court. City council did a great job advertising and planning it because this year we had the most tickets ever sold, making it the most attended dance in our school's history. For royalty, Miley, Caitlin, Courtney, Aubrey, Levi, Balin, Ty, Brady, and Julian were all this year's formal candidates, with Levi Love, Courtney Kraft being crowned queen, as well as Brady and Caitlin being Prince and Princess. It was a very great festive atmosphere, really showcased our school spirit. With all the candidates, and the people had fun dance. Yeah, it was hot in there, so I don't really expect.
So I'll be going over our sports interview. Our students at Laurel High School really try hard. They work every day to practice for these sports and they compete very well. So we think it's important that they get put out there. Right there's Ty Brown, one of our football players. So this year, the Laurel High School football team, they've shown some tremendous dedication, resilience, and passion for the game. And they've tried very well, and they've actually made it pretty far this season. I'm not 100% sure what the next game is, but playoffs. But here's some pictures from Miss Linger. She takes care of nice photos for us. Here's our volleyball team. They work really well together. They practice almost every day. They work together very well. They played very well this season as well. They had their last home game last Friday. And And so now they're moving on. This is a picture from their pink night. They were raising money for Miss Cagle, who's a teacher at our school, who recently was diagnosed with cancer. And so we've been raising lots of money for her treatment. Next is the girls and boys golf teams. Although our girls team did not have enough members this year to be officially a team, we need to have 4, we only had 3. 1 freshman and 2 seniors. Our boys team went very far as to take the state championship, and I think one of them took the individual title for state champion. Took second, but they did really well. Here's our cross-country team. I'm on the cross-country team, we did very well. Our season ended last Friday, or Saturday, when we went to state. We worked very hard in the heat all season long, 4 p.m. every day. And we took some nice pictures also from Miss Linger, we made clothes over passing the Central kids. Next is girls soccer. They played very well this season. They've worked very hard also every day in the heat on the turf, which is very hot. And they've actually got their next game, the state championship, this Saturday against Central. They've tied 2 times with Central this season, so it'll be a nice game to go watch. Hopefully you guys can all go see it. But they worked very hard for what they got it. So. Next is the boys soccer team, which is pretty large. They worked really hard this season. We actually had a new kid coming from Virginia to play, which was pretty cool. Unfortunately, they did not make it very far in the playoffs, but they did work tremendously hard, and I think it's important to show that. We also like to showcase the cheerleaders. They work really hard every day to practice for games, and they come to all events and they showcase our teams, which is important. They like to engage with the student section and the fans, and they work pretty good. So, and I think that's the last thing. So
Okay.
back to my goal.
So I'll talk about the cancer fundraiser that student council hosted, again, student council, but they, this Thursday, last Thursday, student council planned a cancer fundraiser for Ms. Cagle, who is the math teacher at Laurel High School. So what we did was every student would bring in change, and the teacher did not start teaching class until they counted all the money, which was a great incentive for students to do money, which raised over $3,900 for her, which will help fight her during cancer. This really showcased how great giving our student body is to come together for such a great cause.
Yeah.
Last thing, I know, like, two big topics, well, one big topic of discussion was the new schedule. And so we actually did send out a survey to our students, which we'll be reporting on at the next meeting, and the results are definitely pretty split. So we'll have to figure out a way to analyze those. And then for the second, being part of the same survey, we were actually like thinking about our parking lot, like situation. Things like should we add speed bumps or arrows, maybe diagonal parking. So we're just seeing what they have to say, and then we'll report on that.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions or?
I do have one. What was your participation level on the survey from the kids?
I think we definitely.
So far, I think we're almost 200. So for most kids not checking their email, it's gotten a lot of responses. So Jason probably the exact numbers right now. But yeah, I think it's a little under 200 responses so far.
Nice. How long are you planning to keep it open?
I think when we start the report, so one more week, probably. Then we'll tell more peers to fill it out.
So we're currently at 176 responses from students. We'll probably get it on daily announcements every morning that there is a survey to check their email, hopefully to get a few more. But we put it in a format of how safe do you think the parking lot is, how do you like our schedule, those kind of questions, with a range from 1 to 5, I believe. And then there's also a recommendation section on there as well. So students who think they might have ideas on what to change can put some input in there. And so we'll look through all these responses and get them compiled into an analysis that we can give to you in the next board meeting.
Tell them we listen, make them try to, I don't know, can we give, I guess we can't do that, can't we? Give them an incentive, like if 90% respond, we'll do something cool. Yeah. They probably don't. That's true.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
It's also, the teachers and they have their first classes.
Cool. Thank you.
Is there any questions from the public? Thank you, guys. So the next 2 items we'll bring back as informational next time.
Back as informational, we complete this.
Okay, superintendent's report.
I have nothing new to report. No, I think I told you about the buildings, so I think we're good.
Discussion items. A request to rename existing school and open new school. OPI.
Just the process and what we need to fill out, so we're already checking on it. Devin commented last time to start looking at it, and Julie luckily thought of that about a month ago. So we're already in on it, and we'll actually be filling all that stuff out this fall.
But it won't rename until next.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, correct. So we'll, let's assume our charter school gets passed, and we would have a new charter school, and then we'll have 4 brick and mortar schools instead of 5. The south will cease to exist, west will be renamed, which we already voted on here, and then the Mogan site will be lower intermediate schools.
Anybody else have any questions? Any public comment? Okay, we'll move along to public charter application.
He's already approved the public charter application process. The application that is attached there is, technically you're not approving it tonight, it's still in a rough draft format. It's not due till the end of the week. And we'll be getting together, finalizing on Wednesday, sending it in, and then if there's any errors, they said if we got it to them on Wednesday or Thursday, they would check for errors, so we still have time to fix it. The couple things in there that are we're still looking at editing, we've highlighted. We have to put some board minutes in there as an example from last meeting. And then we we just want to finalize our budget stuff that's in there. We'll want to make sure that's finalized and makes sense to everybody on Wednesday as well. So that's Julie's changed that 4 or 5 times under my direction. And we just want to sit down one more time, go over our ideas, and just show them this is what we have planned right now. And that can change. We're not stuck with that. If we decide to get a less of an administrator, more of a teacher, then we can. But it's just, we have to have something that says, here's what we feel like the costs are going to be. And we have, when they had put those out over 5 years, we're not necessarily required to do all that, but we want to show that we have a plan in place. So we have some options. So you can see that plan there. If you have any questions over any of it, the high school administration put in a lot of time putting this together. You know, it says 6 through 12. Melissa and John are the ones that really put in the time on it. Julie did her part as well. So
And one thing that I noticed, that's a lot, great job, because it looked like a lot. The only thing I questioned was on number 23, startup costs, under business ops. First year projection is, total need is 471,715. But then it's state funding of that, and then the multi-district of 80, is the 471 part of the 80?
No.
Or the 80, so then the total first year projection is actually like 550,000, 551,700.
Oh, that should reflect that, yeah, how do we want to do that? I'll highlight it.
I think that was one of the only thing I really. Great catch. Caught. Oops. I really liked the way that it was worded, and I thought it was clear, and I even kind of like Laurel Virtual Academy. I thought that was kind of a nice name. Since everything else is Laurel, we better just leave that.
That's Dr. Vine. Yeah, Melissa, Dr. Vine's Laurel Virtual Academy.
Yeah, it fits the rest of our nomenclature too, right? So.
I voted for Torch School for gifted. I lost that vote.
You gotta shave your head and give them those really cool, like, hover chairs, so.
I lost that, I lost that.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I just want to say this is really well put together, so I appreciate all your hard work, and a lot of the questions that I had were, spelled out right here, and I'm excited for it.
We'd also like to thank Corvallis Public Schools. This application really mirrored ours, what we were looking for. We went through a bunch of those applications, and some people have, all different sorts of things. Well, a few of the schools, and they happen to be about our size, almost exactly our size of school, and and I've talked to the superintendent a few times, Pete Joseph, and to thank him, I guess, publicly as well for helping give some ideas on what they're doing. And, we were able to use their application and understand, we obviously changes some things, but I gotta give them some public credit. I changed it to Laurel Public Schools instead of Corvallis, but other than that.
Change some stuff to verbal, maybe.
They organized it a little bit different than us, so again, those were just things that through multiple conversations I had with him and a few other schools, they were very, very helpful in that. And those applications are online, so they were public. I didn't steal anything, they were public, and I did call him to make sure it was okay if I use it as a template. He said for sure, so.
And I have one other question, and it's about the entitlement. So so the state will, if we are granted this charter school, the state will award us this
entitlement. It's called that.
If we don't meet our this census for this entitlement, what happens to us? Could that drain on us? Will the state ask for that back, or
no?
Is it?
They won't ask for the base entitlement back. Right now, they're basically giving schools a little bit of a grace period because what if we show up short? So right now, we currently have 16.
There are 16 students right now taking Edgenuity classes.
In some form or another.
That would qualify under this charter.
Okay. So we're already up to 16 and 41 in the high school.
I have 3 in the wings now.
Right. So we could be almost 19. And whether we're running a charter school or not, we're able to afford to get a certain number of licenses, but we can't do what we want to do on a much larger scale unless we have that basic entitlement money. Middle school has.
I have 2 right now, but I haven't been, with our current Edgenuity, I like the one that we win, that we got a training on.
Oh, the presentation, yeah.
Yeah, the presentation on, because in the middle school, the current, just the regular Edgenuity, even I have a student right now that's GT that had to go to a Durvet due to health problems, and it just seems like I haven't had any very much luck with any of my kids in the middle school, but I'm looking forward to that for the gifted and whatever you call it, the academy. Right. I think that would be really good.
Right now, we just have access to their curriculum, which simply means it's kind of a work at your own pace. So if Michael wanted to do a class, I would assign him a class, and he kind of works on it on his own. And what they have is there's no teacher on the other end. It's just videos and things like that. But they also have a kind of an upgraded option, which does put a teacher on the other end. It opens the students up to, like, I don't remember the exact time, but like 7 a.m. to like 10 p.m. They can get online to a live tutor that'll get on the virtual whiteboard and walk them through things. So if they're at home and they need some extra help, we also are looking at putting together, we're not sure what it's going to look like exactly, but we need a part-time teacher to be available to those kids so they can come in the building and make appointments locally if they can't to get something from a tutor. So we're looking at those types of options and what they're doing with other schools to help us. So Edgenuity isn't just a work on your own, we'll see you in 6 months kind of a thing. They have a teacher on the other end. Sometimes they'll have organized periods of like, okay, I'm going to do a class at 1 o'clock. They also have work at your own. So there's some options we have, but again, that all costs money. For example, Edgenuity is $275 per class per semester. So if a kid was to take, let's say 6 classes, that'd be about $1,700, a little less than that, $1,700 a semester to take 6 classes fully online at home to graduate in 4 years, which would be 23 credits. 6 classes would be 24 credits. So we're just looking at those options. We need to be able to pay for it using that basic entitlement money. And then the following year, we'll start getting A and B money for those kids who are home. If they're part-time at home, part-time in school, like might be on a hybrid model, then we would get half of the A and B would come to our school, regular model, and then half would go to the charter school. So it helps keep that money in. It helps us run a program for a population that right now, for every reason you can think of, they're either on a partial schedule, struggling, maybe just they want to take more high-end classes that we may not offer, AP type stuff. They'll be able to do some of that through this charter school.
I just wanted to say last week I had 4 students approach me to withdraw from school in Penn Foster or a second. I managed to keep 3 with this option and actually pull back another student who had gone to Penn Foster who has a sister who wanted to go on that as well last week. So we pulled the student back, we didn't lose one themselves. Today, I have 2 students approach me about doing some sort of hybrid or going to Penn Foster. And so I'm trying to work with those families to keep them at least attached to their high school. I think it's important that these students who are local stay attached to our high school, even if it's an online model. I think that way we still kind of build a little bit of a sense of community. They're still welcome into the building. You know, they're not Penn Foster withdrawn in a totally different district. Right? So we can try to keep those kids and try to keep them engaged in the school community in some way or another.
So in that, like, so how does this affect activities with these kids?
Right now, kids can be a homeschool student, or they can be a part-time student, and they can go ahead and be in activities.
Well, I know, but so say we have this virtual academy and we have a kid from Corvallis that decides to be in our program, would that student, I mean, I don't know that I have an opinion on it, but it's like, would they be able to, if they wanted to come participate in basketball?
They'd be under MHSA.
So they're a full-time enrolled student that could participate in all of our activities. I mean, so long as they have their however many days.
You accept them as an out-of-district student. You have to accept them as an out-of-district student, and then they would be under the same MHSA rules for any transfer student, whether they're across the state or just down the road. If they're out of district and they were coming over here from their other high school, they have to wait a semester before they can.
So then to that too, what about like school dances? Do these kids get to participate in those activities? So okay.
Yeah, I would imagine, and Mr. Torres could probably speak more to the activity side of that, but I'd imagine that they would be eligible to attend all functions as long as they were a student of good standing.
Okay.
I have one more.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I just had a question on how this looks like for attendance. Couple of things. First, attendance for athletics. I mean, kids that are in school have to attend in order to participate. The kids out of school that go on this can just not attend classes and still participate in a game.
That is correct.
So that
Homeschool
might be
kids.
something that we need to jump through hoops of figuring out.
It's,
The difference is that they'll have grades. And then, as we talk about this, you know, there's going to be probably inadequate progress.
Because that's what we're running into at the middle school is attendance issues of just getting kids working online on a daily basis, and how do we mark that with attendance and then holding them accountable to be part of this. And so I'm thinking at the high school level, if you have a kid that's attending school every day that's participating in basketball, and they have to be there the day before the game to play the game, except for the kid who is online may or may not check in to have good grades to participate. They could just not check in on that Friday and still play the game on Saturday. So how does that all look? And I think those are the conversations I just wanted to bring up that we need to put at the table as we discuss them.
it's going to look different.
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking for the board here, I'm just telling you as the superintendent, it's going to look different, Allison. It doesn't look the same. When we have homeschool kids, they have to send in grades weekly.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's, now if we have Edgenuity, then we know where they're at with a grade and progress. And we can require certain things from that, but it won't look the same. You didn't check in on Thursday, therefore you're not eligible to play on Friday. It just may not look like that. It is going to look different. It will not be traditional what if they worked twice as much on Wednesday because they were going to be gone on Thursday, so they did a bunch of extra work on Wednesday. I mean, it's just going to have to be flexible. And we'll have to come up with something from an eligibility standpoint in the spring that will address this.
That's the thing I like about this is right now we have homeschool students where, you know, as long as they're certified with the county, then that's all we get. This provides us a little bit more options to be able to check their academic progress for activities.
Yeah. So that is something we'll have to, and I think that's an excellent point. We'll have to look at how does that fit in, because we won't be able to fit the old, round peg in the square hole. They have to come every day for 7 hours and be online. So that isn't gonna happen. They may be able to do something totally different. We'll look at it. Excellent point.
So he brought up that it would give more security over grades, but would homeschool students still be able to compete in our sports even if
Correct.
this?
Correct. This doesn't change any homeschool eligibility, because that's always a parental choice to go homeschool, and that's still a Montana High School Association rule that they can participate. We just have to have kind of a grade checks that parents basically send those grade checks in and where they're at in their programs. And that's just a trust model, really, Andrew. It's just a trust model, so that continues.
So, let's just switch back to finance for a minute. I just want to try to understand the numbers for the projection. So, obviously, year 2, we move in, we get A and B. Are you factoring in any, is this just a normal increase with a no increase in student load? Like, so the census isn't going up in those projections? Or are we just leaving it at, is it 25 students? 40?
25 middle school, 45 high school.
So how does that ramp up? So we're just assuming year 2, we're going to go to 45? Is that our assumption?
It's an estimate.
Okay.
And we could have 70 inside of 2 years, or we could have 46. We have no idea. It's a guess, and as I talked with the person who processes these at the Board of Public Ed. This doesn't go through OPI, it goes to the Board of Public Ed. They just said, do your best, recruit kids throughout the year, and just do your best to hit those numbers. There's kind of a grace year in there if you're a little short of what your numbers are. And she said some schools are short, some schools are long. So just do your best.
So there's no benefit to us graduating this a little bit and saying, okay, year 1 we have 20, then 30, then...
We have to have at least 40 at the high school to even apply.
So
20 at the middle school to apply, and if we want to run this down to elementary, I believe K through 5, we need 70. Now this is not a kindergarten through 5th grade model, this is just a middle school, high school model. But we can run this all the way down, and for example, there's places like Ingenuity is one, but there's others that provide kindergarten through 5th grade options. Now that's a little different than the Ingenuity that I just described to you. That does say, all right, for kindergartners, you do, and first graders, second graders, you do need a time. So from 9 to 10, they're going to work on this, and there will be a teacher on the other end. So it's a little bit different than their upper level stuff, where it's a little bit more work at your own pace a little bit. So they do offer that. We're not quite ready to make that leap, but I would be, honestly, that's probably our next leap, is to also offer things for younger kids as well.
So we just get a year, the state measures our success based on a single school year, so we can't, we have a 5-year plan here, right? What are they gonna say to us if after this school year, and we're going into 26, 27, and our census is still not at 45, 40 kids, are they gonna say?
There's the potential, there's the potential, no, that hasn't happened to anybody.
Okay.
But technically that could. They could pull our charter if we don't have close to the numbers.
Yeah.
They could do that, correct?
And that's why I was wondering if it would help to have like a measurable timeline, but you're saying it's a minimum of 40, so
40
you're basically starting at the bottom already.
We're not sure. We know we're gonna have close to 20 by Christmas. So we're halfway home and we haven't even really offered this out officially. This is kind of more of a, we might have to even get some more Ingenuity licenses because we're already over our license amount, but.
Does this take recruitment out in our community too, in district, to try to help bring some of those homeschool kids back?
We have a plan in here that talks about kind of more of a recruitment model, I think in January, February. We'll be approved on this in January if we are, so then we'll know we can go full blast and get it out there as this is an option, public option for next year. And I honestly feel like it's going to, it's not going to explode, but I can see us getting 40, 50 kids in the high school, or bringing more kids back that otherwise we'll just lose them.
Okay.
He's brought back, 7, 8 kids this year that would just be gone if it wasn't for at least what we have. So we wouldn't be getting anything for them, and that puts more pressure on their parents to get this online education paid for, and then it turns around and there's no guarantees for the community or if they'll finish. So this helps with that process, and we're hoping to help families who are interested for whatever reason. And it varies, guys. It varies the whole spectrum why they're choosing to do what they're doing.
Question, under staff salary and benefits, the administrator, do we have to have one FTE for the administrator?
No.
Supervising like a half FTE?
We don't. We're just not sure what. So for one administrator, they could act as, the signing kids in and up and organizing it and working with parents. Maybe we go down to, we find a way we can do a half administrator, and maybe we give them other roles. Maybe they become title coordinator, something like that, in addition to this. And then we might have to look, instead of having just a half teacher or a quarter teacher, we think we might need a full teacher, or at least an FTE of a full teacher. So we're very flexible on that. And then they said they don't hold us to this per se. They just need to know that we have a plan. If we feel like we need to change it midstream, we're okay with that. They're okay with it.
So this requires the hiring and recruitment of an admin, or is that would that be like John doing that?
Well, that's what we'll decide. We may be moving someone into that position.
Okay.
Again, depends on numbers, and they may have other duties that don't have anything to do with this charter school. Maybe. And again, all cards on the table. As we rearrange our schools, we've been talking as a board, and I've been talking with the admin since last spring. Just what does that mean for them? That's not to try to create uneasiness in the administration. It's just a fact that we have to be pragmatic about this and make sure we're spending taxpayer money as frugally as we can. So then we need to make some decisions about teachers and admin every year. And this just throws another, you know, cog into that machine, and we gotta figure out how can we do that.
And then, sorry, I have too many questions, I apologize. The other one that I had a question about was, where does that, so there's an anticipated surplus from the activity of this academy after year 2, where does that go? Does that go into the multi-district at that point?
It's showing that.
Because
We'll go back, we'll pay back the multi-district after the first year, and then the additional monies, it might go to, maybe it gets larger and we end up funding more staff. We hire more staff to be in this program. Maybe we have to pay for more licenses for these, so all that, again, is a guess. So these are just very much estimates. So does that mean we're gonna have a $450,000 year 3 surplus? I don't know. We may end up with multiple more staff members and more kids, so we're paying for more. But yeah, we can.
But that ties back into the school's multi-district, or does this become its own, like?
It's its own
separate
school.
district going on?
It is its own separate district. It'll actually be 2 separate districts. You guys remember, last meeting, Donnie asked if we have to do 2 applications. The answer is no. We just do a single application. But we will actually have because of our district, we'll have a 6 through 8, you know, charter school. It's all, in the state, it's just all one big charter school. It's gonna look like that, just like Laurel looks like one big school right now. We don't think of it as 2 schools, it's 1 school. So it'll just be the same thing. We'll just have 2 pots of money, a high school pot and a quote-unquote elementary pot of money that will be separate on there. But they said just put it into one. For them, they don't care how we divide it up, it's one application.
And it doesn't commingle back into the district at large, like back into our physical schools, or does that money stay strictly charter?
Charter, could go into the multi-district, I believe, but it has to be charter.
So it's like a charter multi-district, and then we have a regular multi-district?
They all share, but that multi-district can all be.
You share.
That charter.
You can share all of it.
Correct.
Because I'm just thinking, if we end up having to drain on the physical district's resources for some reason, can this money come to offset budgetary things in the
multi-district
main district?
Multi-district.
Okay, so it can do that.
Just like elementary money put in the multi-district could go to the high school.
Rewrite a multi-district.
Say-
We'd have to rewrite a multi-district plan, but
Which we will.
do that.
Right, which we've already took.
If this is
off the chart.
approved, we'd have to do.
Okay, that makes sense then. I just don't want it to draw on our main budgets to accommodate the virtual school if there's a little bit of that A&B shortage or something on the virtual academy, and now we're having to pull from the multi-district. They should be able to give back to it, you know? Okay.
For startup, we would have to pull from the multi-district, just to get the program off the ground.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Any public comment? Next, we have future discussion items. Is there anything? I know we have the kindergarten schedule. We have weeding process. We're gonna have a CTE update at whatever point we decided that. Is there anything else anybody can think of or wants to have on as a discussion item?
You're planning CTE in January? Or was it at the end of this quarter? What was the schedule for that CTE update?
I think it's semester.
Oh, it's a semester.
I think it's semester.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. 7th of January.
Yeah. I have to do a Southland.
What?
Southland Valley.
In January?
Any public comment? we will go ahead and adjourn.